Item 13, public hearing to consider acceptance of the annual progress report for the 2013-2021 housing element of the general plan for the period of January 1, 2014 through December 31st, 2014. Presentation by our Community Development Director, Ms. Villacaña.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the council. I'll try to make this quick. As in previous years, we are coming to ask your acceptance of our housing element annual report that will be submitted to the Department of Housing and Community Development. As you know, our housing element is a 7-year planning tool that basically dictates or foresees the future as it relates to housing. What I want to do tonight, I just want to give you some highlights that are included within your report. As you can see, there were 43 new building permits issued for single family during this reporting period. 3 of those were, an additional 3 were for second dwelling units. If we compare that to 2013, that's 5 that we had in 2013. So we're doing, construction is going up, new construction in particular.
Ms. Villacaña, what about the 250 units behind target? Where do they fall?
Hopefully they'll be counted for the 2015 reporting period.
They have to be complete?
No, actually when we issue the building permits, and we're getting ready to issue 84 building permits for that particular project.
So they haven't pulled permits yet?
Not yet. Okay. Hopefully within the next week or so. Okay.
And how will that help us with our RENA allocation?
Oh, that's going to help us. That's going to add 240 new units to our RENA number.
Allocation, perfect.
Yes. Okay. In comparing our housing construction to other cities, we try to get information from our neighboring cities. We were able to get information, let me move this, from the city of Brawley and also the city of Imperial. As you can see, the city of Imperial did issue 99 building permits for new construction, and this is for residential construction, compared to Brawley 23 and the city of Centro 43. And as it relates to multifamily dwelling, the city of Imperial, we only had 3, but Imperial had 56. But again, with the El Centro Town Center project, we're expecting to increase that by 240 units for this reporting period. As it relates to housing rehabilitation, this is rehab projects that are assisted with CDBG funds. This year, there were 4 units assisted under this program compared to last year, there were 3. So overall, in trying to meet our RENA number, our regional housing needs allocation number, so far out of the 1,924 units that were allocated to our city, we've met 46, and we have 7 years to meet this, the numbers. So we're moving forward. It might look like it.
We better get moving really fast.
Now the next reporting period should be a little better.
Should be a little bit better. And as you're aware, we are working with a developer for a 600-unit housing development project, which hopefully will be completed within the 7-year period, reporting period.
This is a target, right? There will be no penalties to the city if we're not able to meet our RENA numbers.
It is our target, but there are no penalties if we're not able to meet the.
We want to, but if we don't, then.
So at this time, we're asking that you open the public hearing and receive any public input. And we are recommending that you accept the report so that it may be submitted to the Department of Housing and Community Development.
Before I do that, any members of the council have questions? No? Okay. This is a public hearing. Any member of the audience that wishes to speak to the council as it relates to this specific matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Is there a desire from the council to move on acceptance of the annual element progress report on implementation of the City of El Centro housing element covering the period from January 1, 2014 to December 31st, 2014? Moved by Jackson, second by Walker. Please ballot. Thank you, Ms. Villacaña. Item 14 is the approved ranking order for the City of El Centro's Aquatic Center project for design consultants and authorize city staff to proceed with final recommendation as to the proposed successful respondent based on the approved ranking. Presentation by Marcela Piedra.
Yes, good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. Very, very pleased to be moving forward with this significant project for our city, which basically kind of ends the major redevelopment effort that we're doing at Adams Park. So very happy that we're in this particular milestone, getting ready to proceed to the next steps related to the City of El Centro's Aquatic Center. As you may recall, actually, the discussions of initiating and constructing a pool for our city started a while back when we actually had to demolish our existing pool. And you know, for a number of years now, we have been working on getting the necessary funding to complete this major project for our city. As included in your report, we actually have funds that are available to us from the now dissolved redevelopment agency, which basically are part of the 2007A bonds. And then we also had additional funds that were issued by the El Centro Financing Authority in 2011 for hopefully completing the major elements of this aquatic center, which are really the pool and some recreational water features for the community. In August of 2014, the city staff released a request for proposals to procure a firm to provide the necessary design and engineering services to complete the aquatic center project. The RFP process closed in September, and we, in fact, received 13 proposals that we received, very obviously good firms from throughout different areas here in the state of California, and we received a total of 13. We did set up an evaluation committee, which was actually made up of representative from the council. Councilmember Sedelia Sanders was actually, has been assigned to work with staff for the Aquatic Center project, and so she was part of the evaluation committee. We also had a member of the Community Services Commission, Mr. David de la Garza, who was part of the evaluation committee as well, along with several city staff, including our recreation supervisor, Ms. Pat Ureña, our senior engineer, Abraham Campos, and of course, yours truly also participated in that process. Based on the ranking of the proposals that were received, basically the written part of the proposal review, the committee, review committee reviewed those and basically narrowed down for the second phase of the selection process, 6 firms that were actually interviewed. And those 6 firms are actually included, and the ranking is included as part of your council report. Basically, the top 3 firms and with their respective ranking was the first company that ranked with the highest score of 484 was Kimley Horn, and they're located in San Diego, California. The second ranking company was Nicholas Engineering, which is located in Yuma, Arizona, with a score of 460. And by the way, I want to clarify that the score that you see there is the cumulative score based on the scores of each member of the review committee. And the third company was Jeffrey Katz Architecture, and they're located in San Diego. The fourth company, WLC Architects Incorporated, is located in Carlsbad. And then the fifth company was Westford White, again located in San Diego, with a score of 422. And then the sixth company was Sanders Architect, which is a company located in El Centro with a score of 324. Some of the areas, obviously major areas that were evaluated as it relates to these proposals and what the city is looking for in terms of completing this project for specifically on the design and engineering services that we procured, and that's, again, included on your report. Basically, in summary, the criteria that was evaluated to come to this final scoring is we looked at the approach that each of these firms was going to take towards completing the project.
There you go.
We also looked at previous experience with similar projects, which is very, very key. We want to make sure that we work with a company that has the necessary experience, that has done these similar type of projects that we are requiring. That's very important, obviously, to the project. Past success in managing all processes, procedures, and paperwork for similar projects, the qualifications of the team members, and the satisfaction of previous clients, and also the project understanding and ability to work in a collaborative environment with other consultants, the contractor, and other required agencies. So in essence, these were the major, most important elements that we looked at when we were obviously reviewing the proposals that were received, and also obviously taking us into the interview process. And again, based on what the committee was looking at, based on the overall review that was done, the #1 ranking company is Kimley Horn. Therefore, what the review committee and staff is recommending is that this council accept the ranking that we have before you, and specifically allow us to proceed with the final selection of Kimley Horn being our #1 ranking company. We do have representatives in case there's specific questions related to Kimley Horn. We do have representatives from the firm here, but at this time, if there's any questions that you may have regarding the item, I'll be more than happy to answer those.
Any initial comments from the council?
I have a couple comments, Mayor, when appropriate. You know, my question would be, I know that the total amount is 11 million and change, and it seems like every project we've sent out for engineering, it's come back over-engineered, whether it's the skate park or something of that matter, and we have to take it back, you know, take out pieces here and then bring it back, and then it kind of, you know, messes up the timeline. So in order for us to kind of get on the front end of this stuff, I mean, there's clear understanding that all we have is $11 million for this project. That's accurate?
That is correct, and the approach that, obviously based on those lessons learned in terms of completing other projects and looking at what potentially could happen. When you do projects like this, there's a lot of unforeseen issues that you don't know until you actually start construction. However, the approach that staff took in looking at how to develop and construct this project is we look at the project as it relates to the offsite requirements, because with a project of this type and this magnitude, we're looking at possibly spending up to $1 million in just offsite. So that has been basically taken out of that 1 million. So what we have come up with, and of course there's other soft costs, you know, the engineering, there's labor compliance that needs to be done in a project such as this. So there's other, you know, requirements that we need to obviously pay for as we're developing the project. So in essence, what we have done out of that $11 million that's available for the project, we've actually said $8 million is for the actual hard construction cost for the pool. And so that's, in working with the company that we are going to select for design and engineering, we have basically said we only have $8 million for on-site hard construction costs. The off-sites have been accounted for separately, and also the soft costs to actually get the project completed.
Very good, Mr.
And
Pedro.
I think Mr. Cardenas makes an excellent point. Every other construction we bid it has come up over bid. So I think that getting a handle of that from day one, because as we saw with the skate park and having to go back and redesign and rebid is just delayed the process. And, you know, I've said it before, and the council has concurred with me, that from a recreation perspective, what our community most desperately needs is a pool.
That's correct.
Our aquatic center. And I would hate for that to be delayed in any way, so I'm glad that Mr. Cardenas make that observation, and I'm sure that you guys will be on top of that as well.
Thank you, Mayor.
Any additional initial comments? We'd like to hear from Kimley Horn and tell us a little bit about yourselves and timelines that you may be projecting, or make us feel good.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, esteemed members of the council. Thank you for having us here today. I first would like to introduce the rest of my team. First, my name is Matthew Capuzzi. I'm the project manager for Kimley Horn. And with me, I have Ross Duenas here. He's the Deputy Project Manager. He'll be coordinating all the different sub-consultants. As you imagine, a project like this has a lot of different components. You know, with an architect on our team, that architect has a lot of different things happening in the building: mechanical, electrical, plumbing, structural. So Ross will be taking a lot of the lead of that coordination of different consultants and the different disciplines within the project. Also with me, Dennis Berkshire from Aquatic Design Group. They're renowned throughout the state of California as the top aquatic designer. They've designed award-winning projects, world-class projects. In fact, a cool stat that Dennis has told me in the past, and I'll never forget, 6 of the last 10 years, the United States swimming championships have been in California, and Aquatic Design Group designed 5 of those 6 facilities. So you have the top firm working on the aquatic side of this. And then also with us, Carlos Beltran. Some of you may know him. He's a local sub-consultant who'll do a lot of the coordination locally with IID, making sure that we have all that coordination done up ahead of time. He'll also be doing some of the mapping work and all the survey work for the team. Yeah, we're really excited. I mean, just the opportunity to bring this type of world-class facility to your community. We understand how great a need you have for this, and we really want to make this a project that wins multiple awards and that is a sought-after destination throughout the valley, and even, you know, some of their partners across the border come to visit El Centro to use the facility.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point in that what we're hoping to get out of our aquatic center to be more than just a pool. Yeah. More than just a place where parents drop off their children and then pick them up, you know, a few hours later, but really to be a family environment, a destination point, as you called it, that invites the entire family and all our residents here. So I'm grateful to hear that. So what is $8 million going to buy us?
Well, I don't want to make any promises right now, but we are cautiously optimistic that we can get the elements. You know, the building is very important and the pool, but what we want to do is really look at a lot of different alternatives, work closely with staff to see, you know, first, there's a really important component to a facility like this, and that's the operations of it. How much is it going to cost you to operate and maintain it? Mm-hmm. And if we can get a good mix of recreation facilities along with competition facilities, you can get close to a break-even facility where you're not spending money out of your general fund to operate the facility. If we spend too much money on, you know, a giant 50-meter pool that is used more for competition only, you won't generate the income that you need to get close to break even, and you might only break 50%, your profit or your revenue might only be 50% of your cost. So we really want to look at those factors closely, and maybe we'll end up having a little smaller competition pool, but be able to include all those recreation elements that'll be able to help you minimize your overall net operating costs each year.
Any plans to use some of the solar technology or renewable technology to perhaps be able to heat the pool in the wintertime and be able to for it to become a year-round?
Absolutely, yeah. Especially for heating the pool. Maybe, you know, that return on investment for those sort of their HDPE or plastic pipe, you know, that's black and it can sit on top of shade structures and stuff is really fast, you know, 5 to 6 years, and the cost of those elements of the project can be made back in the savings on heating. The return on investment in solar, actually, photovoltaic, to power the facility, it might not be worth it. So we'll look at those items closely. You also asked about the schedule. I think our goal is to have plans ready to go out to bid 11 months after we have notice to proceed from the city. So hopefully we can get started in the next month or so, and we'll move forward as quickly as possible. We also, I think, staff has asked us to add something into our scope that wasn't in the original scope, which kind of, will take a little time up front, and they wanted us to reach out to the public again to see what the real desire is for those recreation elements for the site.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I have a question.
Ms. Walker?
As we're moving through this phase, will we also be pre-qualifying bidders, or is that a different?
Subcontractors?
The subcontractors, I'm sorry, those folks have all been
They've already been, I think,
cleared and everything's good?
yeah, everything's good.
My team?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Everybody's
believe
good to
the
go.
city is checking all the references.
yes.
Thank you.
Uh,
Ms. Sanders?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for allowing me to speak to this issue. I had the privilege of working with these gentlemen as well as the other ones who put in their application for consideration. Myself and Mr. De La Garza, who's in the audience, may wish to come to the podium and add to the pieces that that the speaker here gave us. One of the things that made it so attractive, at least to those of us on the committee, was that the gentlemen were absolutely committed to looking at the needs of the community, matching that with our budgetary constraints, and then at the same time expanding it to meet the desires and the interests of all parties that might be users. And those three factors weighed heavy on me as making sure that we would be looking at the ways that I believe this council had the desire for. So I wanted to commend them for that. And I'm happy to see Mr. Beltran, whom I'm pleased to know that he's a part of your team, because I think you've selected a nice sub in doing that. I don't know if Mr. De La Garza would like to come forward. He worked with me as well as the other members of staff. One of the things I also wanted to add is when we're looking at this, it appears as though things may be phased in because of certain budgetary constraints. But we all know that when it comes to staffing and how we're going to staff that facility to make it meet the needs of the community, this phasing in may be just the appropriate thing to do. I can't take credit for that idea. That idea was brought forth by Ms. Urena, and I concur with that, because as we move into this and our budget becomes a little bit better as far as our city budget, then those factors, those other components that can be factored in will actually make a very nice facility for our community, and it will be one of the, I believe it'll be an award-winning facility.
Thank you. Mr. De La Garza?
Good evening. Well, it was
Appropriate shirt for today.
yeah, I did, didn't I? Once a year. I just wanted to say it was an interesting process. I think we picked the right company, and as a result, my hair's a little whiter. But I think we're going to be fine. We did researches. Like I said, it was a process. But I see a lot of good things. I've been living in El Centro since April 1987, and I see a lot of good things on the horizon for the city. I'm actually, I'm usually not this optimistic, but for the first time in many, many years, yeah, I am.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, thank you. Thank you,
Well,
Mr. De La Garza.
Thank you.
If there's no additional comments, is there, I'm sorry. Oh, yes, Ms. Walker?
I'm sorry. No, go ahead. No, my question was, okay, so we're going out for the engineering and design work, but are we going to pre-qualify? That was my original question. Are we going to
The contractor.
pre-qualify contractors?
I believe that was a discussion that, as a matter of fact, it was one of the questions that we posed to the companies as we were talking about the benefit of pre-qualifying the company that's going to do the pool. And I believe that part of the recommendation from, I believe, Dennis, was that we would consider that as part of the process.
Because again, I think this is long overdue, so whatever we could do to expedite it, so if part of the ability to expedite would be to pre-qualify the bidders, so as soon as the design is done, we can get that bid package out, everybody's pre-qualified, move forward.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Dennis Berkshire with Aquatic Design Group. We discussed two options with regards to pre-qualifications. One, in moving more standard through the California requirements for public bid, is the option for us to establish what the minimum standards of contractors are. For example, in swimming pool contractors, California licenses a C53 contractor as a swimming pool contractor. Now, that can be a company that's in your backyard servicing a spa or a filter for a residential pool, or somebody we're expecting to build an Olympic venue. So we cannot rely in California on the contractor's license as the qualification. So part of our standard package would be that we would require contractors to be considered responsive bids or qualified to bid to have built at least 5 projects of similar scope within the last 5 years. Whether that's 5 years ago, 5 last year, or 1 a year, we want to know that they know all of the subs, what's going on with the industry trades and all of that to be a successful bidder and contractor. The other option is to go through the actual formal process of pre-qualifying contractors, and we can choose to do that as well, where we actually have a state process that we go through, invite people to come in, provide their qualifications and bids, where we then accept that. Now, when we do it as that second process, now we've limited the bidders when we're ready to bid it to just those that have been pre-qualified. So we can do it either way, but the intent is for us to have all of the bidders in place so when the plans are ready, they're all eager, they're familiar with the project in either case, and we're going to expedite everything to move it along.
And given the point that's been made by a couple of the council members with regard to cost over the bid amount, are we going to be able to like carve out, and this would be an option A to add, option B to add, and so that we can peel those off if it goes above the amount of money that we have
Absolutely.
available?
One of the ways we can control the process is through things of additive or deductive alternates.
Perfect.
So it'll allow us to be able to create something that we know is going to come within our budget of what we want to do.
Okay.
One of the advantages that we have is that my firm, Aquatic Design Group, we've designed more than 2,500 public sector projects alone throughout the United States. And we average about 100 to 120 pool projects in the state of California each and every year. So we see public bids each and every month, which allows us to go back and see what's happening to the cost of concrete, of steel, how busy are all of the subs, because the commercial pool commercial pool contractors are very limited scope of folks. So we want to see where they're at in terms of how busy they're going to be, which will try to predict and come up with what's going to happen. Because of that, most recently I had a bid for the city of Dublin up in the San Francisco Bay Area. In that case, we had a project. The pool project was estimated at $6.3 million. The actual bid came in at $6 million.
Oh, nice.
So we were able to take everything that we had in the project.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and I don't know whether the timing, Ms. Piedra, Marcela, but when we began to bid the project out to contractors, whatever we can do to try to maximize the use of local subcontractors would be very important to all of us here. We want to keep as much as those tax dollars locally in providing employment to our local citizens.
And I think we've even gone to within the region, what we've done is actually invited subs to a meeting and kind of talk through what we would be looking for. So that would be awesome.
Yeah. So there's a motion on the floor, moved by Cardenas, second by Jackson. Any additional discussion? Please ballot. Item passes 5-0, so look forward to working with you. Look forward to seeing you here. Thank you very much.
Yes, yes. You wanna see some of the
Yeah.
pictures?
Okay, I want to give the council, item 15, I want to give the council a update as to where we are in terms of the 3 initiatives that I stated at my State of the City address and that I've talked to before. Ms. Caldwell, is there a PowerPoint? I thought we had submitted a PowerPoint.
Who is he talking to?
No? Grace was supposed to have sent the PowerPoint to you guys. No? You don't have it? Okay, all right, that's okay.
You want to give us a minute? We can take a quick look on our, on the J drive?
Okay, let's do that. Let's go ahead and go council reports, and then we'll come back to this item here if the council does not mind. So let's see if we can find our PowerPoint. So let's skip all the way up to council, no, wait a minute. Let's go ahead and do council reports, and then we'll come back and finish this, and then we'll come back to public comments.
It's up?
Oh, is there? Okay, well, that was fast. Thank you much. So the 3 initiatives that I'm trying to push forward this year, at the city, go ahead, Norma, is one to kind of look at our business practices, and see what the city can do to facilitate business development, housing growth. I mean, we're a little optimistic based on the number that was reported by Ms. Villacaña in terms of housing starts in El Centro, but you can see that we're far, far from where we need to be. So what can we do as a city to promote housing, particularly low-income housing and startup housing for our citizens to be able to afford a home, and also our economic development. So we're going to take some strategies to look at that. Go ahead, Norma. So we're developing a business improvement committee that Ms. Villacaña will be the lead on that task. We are looking to review our building inspection practices, all of the basic elements of development, right? From our planning, business license, our zoning standards, evaluate our CUPs, because there may be opportunities in our ordinance that we can move items from being subject to a conditional use permit and move them as outright uses in the city and bypass the public hearings that delay projects and add costs to the project. So that's what we'll be looking at. And from there, come up with an improvement process or perhaps validation of what we do already. Perhaps what we do, it works, and we just need to validate that. Go ahead, Norma. So for this committee, I'm asking each of the council members to appoint someone to serve on this committee. So there will be 5 appointees, and perhaps we can do that by our next council meeting in 3 weeks, right? We have a 3-week window for our next regular scheduled council meeting. I'll ask the council to come back with your recommendations for people to serve on this business improvement committee. We're also going to be asking the El Centro Chamber of Commerce to appoint 2 of their members to work with our staff, and again, look for ways to improve our internal business practice. We kind of took the concept of business practice and expanded into other specific industries that we need to evaluate with the same goal in mind as to how do we facilitate growth and development and expansion. So we're calling this the Business Climate Assessment Committee. Our lead staff will be our Director of Community Services, Marcela Piedra. And again, this is going to invite specific stakeholders and get input from them and make recommendations as to what we can do to promote growth and promote development in El Centro. Go ahead.
Can I just add one? One of the things, and maybe you cover it later, you need somebody from a financial service and a bank, or you need to do, I don't know, credit union or something, because unless you have the capital, you're not going to be able to.
Good point.
Do some of those.
So for this committee, we're going to ask the chamber to appoint 1 member.
Okay.
And then look at specific industries such as the business sector, retail, restaurant, mortgage. We can add banking,
You need somebody from
lending
banking.
agencies
I
to
would
that, real estate. So Marcela, did you make a note of that? Okay, so thank you for that. We're going to look specifically at housing and what can we do as a city to get more houses built in El Centro. Again, I'm encouraged by what we saw, but there's still a big gap that we need to try to address. I think school fees is definitely an issue that we need to talk to our counterparts with the school districts and see what we can do to try to facilitate housing development in El Centro.
I think one of the things with regard to that item, you're going to want developers from both inside the valley and outside the valley. So you can talk to developers that are successfully doing that now, and you can talk to developers who are no longer working in the valley to find out why.
Exactly.
I think I have a couple of.
So in this committee, we're going to have, again, the chamber is going to be in this committee. We're going to invite all the school districts and developers that can really tell us, because I have heard of projects that just did not pencil out, and they went somewhere else. So what can we do to make that appealing to developers? Go ahead. Louis Holmes? Yes. In terms of our relationship with Mexicali and working better with our neighbors down south of us, the lead staff person will be Marcela Piedra, our Community Services Director, and we are looking to explore marketing and commercial strategies that will benefit both El Centro and Mexicali, identify opportunities for cultural exchanges, economic exchanges, because as I stated earlier, when Mexicali does well, so does Imperial Valley and vice versa. The council approved the letter of interest to Mexicali. That letter has been delivered to the Mexican consulate who, according to the protocols in Mexico, that's the first step towards communicating with Mexicali and in an attempt to develop a closer relationship with them and a cultural and economic exchange with them. Among the things that we're looking at is to have some kind of signing ceremony, perhaps in our Grito celebration in September, if things go well. Mexicali is looking to do a Mexicali Expo at our mall, and they have made an offer for El Centro Day at the Fiestas del Sol in Mexicali. For this committee, we're going to be looking to the Mexican consulate and our city staff that would take the lead on this matter. The third item in our initiative is the Develop El Centro vision for the year 2050 is what should El Centro look like in 35 years from now. I still plan to be alive 35 years from now. I may be quite old, but I plan to be alive, so hopefully I'll get to see the fruits of this project. But Ms. Villacaña will be the lead staff person in charge of this. Again, how do we plan for the city's growth, given projected population growth, what kind of improvements should be in place, infrastructure, healthcare, schools, and just the overall quality of life for the city of El Centro through the year 2050. So this is a really long-term strategic plan. And we are wanting to have an actual report that comes out of this, that with recommendations, illustrations. Among other things, we're going to look at our sphere of influence, and that is that our current sphere of influence adequate for the growth of our city, future projects. Perhaps we can develop some design standards so that projects that get built in El Centro begin to have some kind of uniformity or a special look that we may want, our transportation corridors, and are they going to be adequate to handle the population that we expect in 35 years, as well as our recreation plan and have a more robust bicycle plan, housing units, and so on. So for this El Centro 2050 vision, I'm asking the council to appoint 2 people to serve on this very important committee or task force. We're also going to be asking the chamber to appoint members. We're also going to be looking to our commissions and boards, our planning commission, our community services commission, all of the commissions that have a stake on the El Centro and the growth of El Centro to participate. We're asking the Real Estate Association to come up with a representative to, again, help us shape and mold a long-term plan for the city of El Centro. So, again,
excellent.
At our next meeting, if I can get those recommendations from the council members on the different committees that we are proposing to have. So, questions, comments,
Yes,
Ms. Sanders?
yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a question. The individuals that I approached for consideration to bring to you had 2 questions that I was not able to answer. One, the time frame of the work that you anticipate. Is this 3 months, 6 months you anticipate? And then in addition to that was the time of day. Would it be morning or evening? Or during
That's an excellent question, Ms. Sanders, because I think all of the committees that just look at our business practices, I don't suspect that that'll take more than a couple of meetings. It's just kind of looking at what we do. The El Centro 2050 vision may take a few more meetings than that. I fully expect that. But one of the challenges that we talked about is finding a time where a multiple amount of people can meet. If we're looking at 20 people plus, finding a time that works for everyone may be a challenge. So we're not going to do this as regular meetings where you have to have a quorum. We're going to announce dates and times and for people to participate. If for whatever reason the appointees that you have cannot make, and they'll come back to you and ask you to find someone else. Because I don't want to get caught in not being able to meet and not having meetings and not pushing this forward. I want us to push this forward as best we can, because I think this is very important.
Well, yes, I understand, but I wanted to get a little bit more clarity, Mr. Mayor. Time meaning morning, afternoon, evening, not necessarily 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, but would you anticipate that the meetings will take place, say, in the afternoon or in the morning?
We didn't discuss that,
Okay.
Ms. Sanders, but it would make sense to me that we find a general time that works for everyone. Personally, probably evenings would be the better alternative, in case people have,
Especially if you're looking at business people.
yeah, exactly. So
Thank
it's open to see what works best for everyone.
Okay,
Thank you, Ms. Sanders.
thank you.
Any additional questions from? All righty. Let's go ahead and listen to our public comment. There's a good number of people that wish to speak to the council. I am going to adhere to the 3-minute time limit. There's a lot of requests for speakers, so I want to give you an opportunity to speak, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we end this at a reasonable time. So when 3 minutes are up, I'll politely ask you to thank you and ask you to allow time for the next speaker to speak, please. So, John Cariotis.
Maybe you can call the second, the next one and say you're ready.
Okay.
Ready.
Thanks to
Yes, sir.
council, Mr. Mayor, my name's John Cariotis, Salton City. I had the chance to speak with Mr. Cardenas today. I was going to give him a bit of a break on the way of what I thought in the way of his associations. He's on the board of directors of Ameris Ministries. He is a parishioner in Walter Colese's church. He sits on this council. He is a member of Casa El Centro, Casa for the Quechan tribe. Until I talked with him today, I was going to give him a bit of a break on this, but I've got to change my mind on that because what Pastor Nunn said was word for word what Councilman Cardenas said to me in conversations today. So I think in any future negotiations with this, I would suggest to Mr. Cardenas that he recuse himself from any of these votings because I do not believe that he can, in essence, serve two masters at the same time. As a council member, he cannot separate, I do not believe he has the ability to separate his religious from his secular duties. One of the things that this is a secular organization, not a religious organization. You make secular decisions as a government agency. Religion is not supposed to be part of your decision-making process. One of the things that this country was founded on, when we talk about our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, the founding fathers did a very good job back in the 1700s, but there was no way in the world that they could understand what was going to happen in the 21st century. We have since seen our government, a secular government. This is not a Christian nation. We are not founded on Christian beliefs. As a matter of fact, our founding fathers worked very hard to create a secular nation and keep the religious beliefs out of making their decisions. Since then, we have seen the slaves freed. We have seen women giving the right to vote. We have given blacks the privilege of not being segregated against. We have also, by Roe v. Wade, given women the right to make a choice for their own bodies. Obviously, I'm male. I do not believe that I have the right as a male to tell women what to do with their body, especially after our Supreme Court has said they have this right to an abortion.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
It has been brought up to us.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
That was my 3 minutes?
Yes,
All right.
thank you.
Mayor, can I make one other disclosure?
Of course.
My other disclosure is that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior as well, so I just wanted you to know that.
Thank you.
There's no more time for it.
And I'm going to say that
no more
that has
time.
exactly brought my point up, that you cannot separate your
Thank you.
religious beliefs from your secular
Thank you, sir.
duties.
Thank you, sir. Imari Cariotis, please.
Insurance would trip on it. Good evening. I asked several council members if they had read the transfer agreement. Some of them have said no, some of them have said they're floating around. The transfer agreement was actually penned by the California Department of Public Health. It talks about how a woman who goes in and has a procedure in a clinic, or a man that goes in, can be transferred to another facility to get help. So what I hear here tonight is that there's an organization that wants to shut that down. They don't want the transfer to happen. So if a woman goes in to terminate a pregnancy and she is in medical duress, they don't want you to transport that woman for life-saving help. So since she's already killed the baby, the hell with her. And I have a problem with that. If you guys have not seen this, I paid $8.10 for it. First page at your place is $8, 10 cents after that. I would suggest you read it. Alex told me he hadn't read it. Read it. It's 2 pages. It actually has in it what you were worried about. It tells you who's going to pay for what. Another thing that bothers me is, I talked to Mr. Nunn tonight. He apologized for the threats that were made to me at the last meeting. And I told him it wasn't really his place to apologize. It was the place of the persons who threatened me. I really believe that you guys need more security. I'm a minority in this. 2 officers isn't going to cut it. So I would ask that, since you're, wanting to help do things for your community and make them feel safe, make us feel safe here, because we don't feel safe at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Vicky Rush, please.
Almost went to sleep, so I'm glad I'm called up. I don't think I need this. Thank you, Jesus. First of all, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council people, for your trying to work with us. I thank you for the time you've given us also to be able to share, especially 2 weeks ago. I know it was a very long night. I'm just going to leave you with 2 things. Our nation was founded by our forefathers, and they do acknowledge that our nation is under God, whom we trust. If you look out on our money and everything else, you'll find that. But from Hebrews 4:12 says, "For the word of God is living and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the division of soul and spirit, and of joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart." So God sees our hearts. Nothing is hidden from him. Then from Psalms 139, "O Lord, you have searched me, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you know it completely, O Lord. You hem me in, behind, and before. You have laid your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me, your hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me and the light becomes night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is light to you. This is key. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. My eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. How precious to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast is the sum of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Rush. Alice Augusta, please. Alice Augusta. Alice Augusta. John Hawk. John, please.
Mayor Efrain. Did I
Perfect.
get that right?
Thank you, John.
Okay, and City Council, thank you for the chance to speak. My name is John Hawk. I'm a third-generation farmer, and I'd just like to talk about a couple of things. The greatest resource on my ranch is not the land, the water, the seed, and all that thing. The greatest resource on my ranch is the people. And I would say that, you know, we live in a country where we think, we reason, we debate, we love, and we reflect a loving God. And I would hate to see the fact that my problem with Planned Parenthood, that resource is ever threatened or jeopardized. I'm glad that you're a full council of 5. I'd hate to see 3. And yet with Planned Parenthood, I'm going to read some things that are very disturbing. And I am deeply disturbed by the things that I may read right now. As a farmer, I research the genetics of every seed that I plant. I plant 9 different crops, and I'm always looking at the genetics and what is going to happen when I plant that crop. Well, I've done some research on Planned Parenthood, and I'm very disturbed with what I've found with Margaret Sanger, the founder, or the seed stock to Planned Parenthood. Let me read you some quotes in her own quotes, and I quote this. The most merciful thing that a large family does to one of its infant members is to kill it. Margaret Sanger, quoted in Women and the New Race, Eugenics Publishing Company, 1920. Now, can you imagine that? The most merciful thing that a large family can do is kill an infant, okay? But that sounds kind of like it's consistent with Planned Parenthood. On blacks, immigrants, and indigents, okay? Human weeds, reckless breeders, spawning human beings who never should have been born. Let me tell you, that disturbs me deeply. I'm asking you, are you disturbed with these comments, with these quotes? Of course. We're an immigrant community right here. My goodness. The founder of Planned Parenthood, when I plant a crop of wheat, I know how tall that wheat is going to be. I know how many kernels that there will be in that seed head. I know if it's a durum wheat, if it's a white wheat, if it's a pasta wheat. I know the yield, I know the HVAC, I know everything about it because I research it. When I research this woman and look at Planned Parenthood, is this the partner that we want in our community? I'm asking you. On the extermination of blacks, quote, we do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population, she said, if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. Can you imagine that?
Thank you, Mr. Hawk.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We do not need a partner like this.
Eric Natwick, please.
Mayor Efrain Silva, I greet you. City council members, I greet you. I do have empathy for you. I did sit 8 years as a city council member, so I know the importance of the decisions that you make. I know the weight that is upon you. But I want to tell you that I was not born in the 1980s like Mr. Dunn, but he is a wise man. He told you about the ordinances. I know about ordinances. I had many ordinances in the city of Holtville that we passed. I studied them. Mr. Harris told you about the law. I was very familiar with the law, with the Brown Act, and I'm still very familiar with the right to people to have public documents because I work for the University of California as an academic member. I'm an entomologist, and every report I put out has to be public record. So, when I was on city council, we never, ever went into an executive session on speculation. If somebody filed a claim against the city, then we would discuss litigation. The now Honorable Richard Bolander, who is a judge, was our city council member. He never took us into the executive session to discuss speculation, only when a claim was made against the city. I support everything that was said by these gentlemen tonight. It was very eloquent. I sent each of you 2 emails. I hope they were respectful. I tried to be very respectful last week. I'm still trying to be very respectful to you tonight. But when something has been done that is not correct, I think you could see that you have opportunity in the ordinance to correct it, many opportunities that were put forth tonight. You can see clearly that there were violations in the law. Although I am not an attorney, I'm a scientist. I do have my grandfather's oak furniture from his law office, but it doesn't make me an attorney. But I did sit in your seat, okay? So I know what I'm talking about. And when something has been done that is not correct, you do need to correct it. So if an agreement was made, a transfer agreement that was in violation of the law, it is null and void. And you have all kinds of powers, pointed out Mr. Dunn, and the laws behind you to correct it. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Natwick. Tessie Teran, please. Tessie Teran.
Hi, good evening. My name is Maria Teresa Teran. I'm 21 years old, and I live in Mexicali. I am pro-life. And we know for a fact that Planned Parenthood has a history of racism and cover-up of child abuse. I will read some documented facts that prove what I say. They are offering sex-selective abortion. Undercover investigations prove that Planned Parenthood participation in gendercide. Abortions which target girls in the womb. In Planned Parenthood abortion clinic in Austin, Texas, was caught encouraging a woman to obtain a late-term abortion because she was carrying a girl and she wanted a boy. Misinforming women about scientific facts about pregnancy. A multi-state investigation of Planned Parenthood discovered routine use of unscientific and fabricated medical information to convince women to have abortion. There was a record in Milwaukee as Stafford tells a woman who is reportedly have a pregnancy about 6 to 8 weeks. And the person said that he has no arms, no legs, no head, no heart, and no brain. Leading evangelists denounced Planned Parenthood counseling, calling it absurd and scientifically erroneous, because we know that they have heart and they have a head and a brain. Covering up child sex trafficking. A series of undercover investigations discovered that Planned Parenthood was willing and ready to help a pimp cover up a child sex ring. At this New Jersey Planned Parenthood, the manager coaches a man and a woman posing as sex traffickers how to secure secret abortions. Clinic managers Emmy Woodruff of Planned Parenthood Centro, New Jersey, said to his pimp and the prostitute to have their trafficked underage girls lie about their age to avoid mandatory reporting laws, promising, even if they lie, just say, "Oh, he's the same age as me, 15. I'm just the manly 14 and under. We have to. Doesn't matter if their partner is the same age, younger, whatever, 14 and under, we have to report." She says, "For the most part, we want as little information as possible."
Thank you very much, Sam.
Thank you.
Fernanda Teran, please.
Hi, my name is Fernanda Teran. Thank you for letting me speak here. I have a bachelor degree in international business and foreign law. I have some courses in social psychology and marketing. I'm about to finish my master's in science of the family. We have a pro-life, well, it's not a pro-life, it's how to use, non-profit organization. She's the representative for the youth section. And I'm here to tell you what Mr. Hawk already said. Planned Parenthood has a history of racial targeting persons. As he said, Margaret Sanger had very awful things to say about minorities. Also, civil rights activists have a history of opposing what Planned Parenthood promotes. The labor leader Cesar Chavez once confronted them and told them, "Who the hell is getting the pills, the Mexicans and the blacks? Do you want to wipe us out?" Even avid feminists like Janice J. Raymond, in her book, Are You? 486 Misconceptions, Myths, and Morals, they say the specific intention of such pill was to test it in population countries that were judged to be underdeveloped. If successful, the method would be introduced to groups in the U.S. with Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. Since they cannot operate in Baja California soil, they are trying to open an abortion clinic here. Planned Parenthood is the largest abortion provider in America, and 78% of their clinics are in minority communities. A report issued by the group Life Dynamics proves that Planned Parenthood targets Black and Hispanic Americans by placing abortion facilities in communities with high minority population. I have here some examples. In Texas alone, 94 zip codes show either an abortion facility or a Planned Parenthood abortion referral clinic located there, and in 72% of the zip codes have populations that are disproportionately Black and or Hispanic. New Jersey zip code 07631 has a Black population of 286.7% of the state's overall percentage, and a Hispanic population of 163.9% of the state. The Minnesota zip code 55404 has a Black population that is 97% of the overall state percentage, and the Hispanic population of 573.9% of all the state, and there are 3 abortion or abortion referral clinics. I would like to say that I'm thankful to see the people of El Centro. They're very brave, and they're giving voice to the people that don't have it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jorge Melendez, please. Jorge Melendez.
Hi, how are you? I'll be speaking in behalf of Maria Alejandra Flores Preciado, Chairwoman of the Commission on Gender Equality in Mexicali, the Mexicali Council. Dear Mayor Silva and members of El Centro Council, respectfully, I am writing to you as a member of the Mexicali City Council and as a chairwoman of the Commission on Gender Equality to express to you on behalf of all the councilwomen of Mexicali our deepest concern about the implications of the recent transfer agreement between the El Centro Regional Medical Center and the Planned Parenthood, which will allow their abortion clinic to operate in Imperial Valley. Since this clinic will be available not only to the Imperial Valley residents, but also to the Mexicali citizens, we are very worried that sex traffickers and pedophiles will obtain the ability to cover up their abuse, since there are no age requirements for providing abortions, even to minors, and no requirements of U.S. citizenship or residency. We are very pleased that you want to be a sister city with Mexicali and with all that good in mind. We urge you to consider the implications for both our cities in this transfer agreement if it's not canceled. Have you made an impact study? Have you considered what will happen in the Mexican woman that suffers a major complication related to an abortion performed in El Centro? Will she be covered? We are aware that there has been massive protests against the issue of El Centro City Hall, and we also have received letters from our concerned citizens against this transfer agreement. Please, for the well-being of Imperial Valley and Mexicali, I urge you consider seriously the means to which you could withdraw the transfer agreement. Best regards, Mayra Alejandra Flores, Chairwoman of the Commission on Gender Equality in Mexicali.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mike Nesiak, please.
Mike Nesiuk, pastor and executive director of the Redeemer Church and Discipleship Center. Honorable Mayor Ephraim, a good biblical name, God bless you. And honorable council as well, thank you for taking the time to hear me. My wife and I have been residents in the Imperial Valley for about 40 years. 4 kids, 10 grandkids, and we've been a part of almost every possible city, county activity, always trying to contribute to the betterment of our valley and the well-being of the valley. I've observed something that's really different from maybe other communities in our community or in our valley. I've noticed that there's a special relationship of the cities, and I'm talking all the cities and all the whole valley, between the entities and the faith-based ministries. This relationship exists in the sphere of our cities, our counties, police department, sheriff's department, probation department, parole department, jails, cities, state, federal, county, the juvenile department, court system, the judges, food bank, anger management, hospitals, and many more other fine entities which serve our community. In light of this strong relationship that we have with faith-based ministries, and the cities are so close to us, all the different entities, we help to the cities to meet the needs of the needy in our communities. I believe that the honorable, when I say the city council, the mayor, and the leaders, not just of your fine city, but I'm from Brawley, but in the whole valley, you owe us at least to be represented as a faith-based ministry, to rescind the decision made between the hospital and the City of El Centro, and invite us to meet and discuss this matter with you, as for the years that we've been an integral part in serving you, the citizens, the entities, the leaderships in every sphere. This is something that we're all involved in, everything that goes on in the cities. And this is something that's nationally recognized. The National Institute of Drug Abuse recognizes that from 75 to 85% of people who are part of a rehab center, like we have, a discipleship center, like many other churches do as well. According to a federal study, they recognize that the success rate where there's a Jesus factor is 75 to 85% successful. You've invited us and gave us your blessing to serve and help you with the homeless. This is something that I should disclose here too.
Thank you, sir.
What, can I just say one more thing? Okay. I'm going to ask my wife to just step next to me. This is something very personal. My wife was 41 years old, and I was 42 years old when she became pregnant. And her pregnancy was a very tough pregnancy when we had our last son. And when she was going through the pregnancy, I had to take her to emergency on a number of occasions. We had a fine doctor, a personal friend to us in Brawley, and on at least 3 different occasions, he recommended that we consider aborting the child because she may die or have difficulties, serious difficulties in childbirth. And we opted not to go through that abortion, to abort the child. And today we thank God that we didn't. Our son, today is his birthday, 22 years old. And he is part of the Navy, and he's training right now in San Clemente Island in Special Forces to serve our nation.
Thank you, sir.
What if we had said yes to the abortion?
Kathy Coronado, please. Kathy Coronado.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak again. I had a question, actually, as I was trying to understand all the ways that you work business, business here. What is the process in which you are seeking to get the independent legal advice? What type of process does that entail?
That would be closed session information. I don't believe that question can be answered at this time.
Yeah, we're not at liberty to disclose that.
Oh, okay. I guess what I was getting at is that something that you like have a pool of people that that you already have on the side for independent legal advice, or is that something that's thrown out to the public for bid, or that's not something that can be answered? Okay. Okay, well, anyways, the other thing I wanted to talk about, too, was, and I think Chris touched on this as well, that the coalition itself is not debating the right to choose. In fact, I think very much so, we want women and people in general, the public in general, to be very educated about the ramifications of what happens with the abortion process. In respect to what happens to the baby, and what happens to the mother after the fact, as well as, everybody else in the family or friends that are touched by abortion. And the reason for that is just exactly what Debbie was talking about, that knowledge is power to make informed decisions. And I think one of the biggest issues, that Planned Parenthood, I think one of the problems that Planned Parenthood has is that I feel it's a very coercive entity. In the respect that I know that when I went in, I did not get any counseling, and also it's in our society. When I was pregnant with my 2 children that I have now, I had to have the amniocentesis, and the alpha-fetoproteins came out high, and you know, so my doctors are telling me that you might want to consider abortion because it's a high likelihood that your children are going to come out with Down syndrome. And you know, they didn't say, you know, you might consider that your child might come out with Down syndrome, but here are some options and resources for you to take a look at. And so as part of the Ivy Coalition for Life, I'm on a subcommittee along with some others that are, you know, really looking to get a network of information and resource information, not just, you know, hey, we're against abortion, but we're pro-life, and we want to offer, you know, substantial information at somebody's fingertips when they find out that they have an unplanned pregnancy. It's so important. And so we are really going to go and, you know, talk with physicians and clinics and such, and you know, to reinforce that, you know, so that people are you know, well informed. And I just also want to say that it is tough for those of us who have shared our abortion experience, a very personal experience. I know that it's tough on your side getting the, you know, the mail, you know, negative mail and stuff like that, and I don't know who would be doing that, but I apologize for them because it's just wrong and bad communication, you know.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Teresa Lopez, please. Teresa Lopez. Okay. Daniel Ochoa, please. Oh, sorry. Let's go back to Teresa Lopez.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. I'm just going to be brief, and I'm going to go talk about Margaret Sanger also, like Mr. John Hawk did. I'm going to say more of her quotes, and this is one of them. It seems to me from my experience that while the colored Negroes have great respect for white doctors, they can get closer to their own members.
I'm sorry, for 1 second, because I want to make sure that I'm fair to all the speakers. Ms. Caldwell, I don't see the timer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you.
I have another, I believe you were speaker too.
Hold on a second, please. Okay, go ahead.
And I'd like to say, first of all, I meant to say it, I'm sorry that you're receiving hate mail, because that should not be happening. We are not we are religious groups and pro-life groups that do not condone violence. So I'm really sorry for that. And like Mr. Hawk, I found a lot of these quotes very offensive, even to me. And one of them is this, and I quote, "It seems to me from my experience that while the colored Negroes have great respect for white doctors, they can get closer to their own members and more or less lay their cards on the table, which means their ignorance, superstitions, and doubts. We should hire 3 or 4 colored ministers, preferably with social service backgrounds and with engaging personalities. The most successful educational approach to the Negro is through a religious appeal. We don't want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population, and the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members." Margaret Sanger, accepted many speeches with the Ku Klux Klan, and this is one of her quotes. "I accepted an invitation to talk to the women's branch of the Ku Klux Klan. I saw through the door dim figures parading with banners and illuminated crosses. I was escorted to the platform, was introduced, and began to speak. In the end, through simple illustrations, I believed I had accomplished my purpose. A dozen invitations to speak to similar groups were offered." Margaret Sanger penned her thoughts regarding immigrants, the poor, and the era of philanthropy. Sanger's ideology of racial and social hygiene bleeds through her writings on breeding on the ideal human race. And again, I quote, "They are human weeds, reckless breeders, spawning human beings who never should have been born. Organized charity itself is a symptom of a malignant social disease. Instead of decreasing and aiming to eliminate the stocks of people that are most detrimental to the future of the race and the world, it tends to render them to a menacing degree dominant." Another quote from her, Knowledge of birth control is essentially moral. It's general. Through prudent practice must lead to a higher individuality and ultimately to a cleaner race. Birth control is nothing more or less than the facilitation of the process of weeding out the unfit, of preventing the birth of defectives or of those who will become defective. And I'm on that category of unfit. Human beings who never should have been born at all. This is what she says. Our failure to segregate morons who are increasing and multiplying demonstrates our foolhardy, extravagant sentimentalism. Philanthropists in healthier and more normal sections of the world to shoulder the burden of unthinking and indiscriminate fecundity of others, which brings with it, as I think the reader must agree, a dead weight of human waste. Instead of decreasing and aiming to, oh, that's it? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Amelia Augusta, please.
Hi, everybody. Gonna keep this quick, so I only have 3 minutes. I want to talk about what Mr. Nunn said in the beginning about if a woman wants to go and have an abortion, she can. She can go to Coachella or she can go to San Diego, but the women who need abortions the most, as you must already know, are poor women that may do not have that opportunity. They're all different. Everyone is different. They have different situations that may lead them to terminated pregnancy. I want to talk about the slideshow we saw. It's a great thing that she's doing, that they're doing, the Real Hope Center. But I did not see anything about birth control, contraceptives, access to condoms, something that is statistically proven to reduce abortion. There's people who didn't get abortions, and they are mutilated, left with stillborns, or they are both dead, the baby and the mother. Not every woman regrets her abortion. You cannot speak for everyone, for every woman across the entirety of the world. My point is, everyone has different situations that may lead to this. Okay, let's see. What are the ramifications of botched abortions? I've heard ramifications of post-abortion syndrome, post-abortion stress, all that, but I don't hear anything about what happens when a woman has no choice but to mutilate her own body because she needs to get the baby out. And I also have not heard from the other side about what if a woman needs to get rid of the pregnancy, if that would kill the baby and the mother. No one has talked to me about that. No one has told me both the baby and the woman deserve to die, or okay, fine, then they should have an abortion. They want to eradicate abortion, all of it. It doesn't matter. That's what I hear. They don't say anything about different situations. It's just, okay, I have a minute. Okay, I hear that there's protesters outside the Planned Parenthood clinic already, and I just want to say some facts here. Between 1977 and 2009, at least 41 bombings, 175 arsons, 96 attempted bombings and arsons, and 642 bomb threats have been directed at abortion providers. Okay. The difference between these murders and pregnancies terminated is that these people have already had families and friends. They actually experience what it's like to be out in the world. Their death cannot be compared to a fetus that has been aborted. I had a list of all the abortion providers and escorts and clinic escorts that have been killed by anti-choice protesters. Looking forward, it's time for advocate for easy access to birth control, comprehensive, realistic sex education, and abortion access for all people. I call upon the other side to respect the choices and privacy of women who choose to attend Planned Parenthood. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Daniel Ochoa, is Daniel still here? And Daniel, I did not see this, and you're speaking about something else, and I'm sorry I would have called you earlier, but go ahead. Sorry, we had to make you wait for so long.
It's called patience.
Thank you. I know you have plenty of that, Daniel. Thank you.
No, it's fine. I just want to thank the staff for, on behalf of the Homeless Connect. It's this Thursday at Adams Park, and as those agencies are saying what they're saying, hopefully I challenge them to be at Adams Park with the homeless according to Imperial Valley Homeless Task Force. I'm one of the board members since '07. And I want to thank Maricela and her staff. They are awesome when it came to permits and everything. They're just awesome working. And I thank all you guys for your support, and Board of Supervisors as well. They called me today as well, and they'll be there as well. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
I think on behalf of all of us, Daniel, thank you for what you do for the homeless.
Yes.
I think, it's that commitment. Thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and close the public comments section of the agenda. Bring it back to council. And we have our council member reports. We'll start with Mr. Cardenas.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and I'll be real brief. First of all, I just want to let you know that we met with the Friends of the Centro Community Service Foundation, and we were able to award some monies again to the city. Not a lot, but about $350 to supplement the CHAMPS program. So I do want to thank the folks for that. Also, I have a shirt for you, Mayor. Our
Hold on a second, Mr. Cardenas. Let me, I see people, go ahead. People that wish to leave, I will give you a minute to leave the room so we can hear the reports. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Cardenas. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So I do have a shirt for you, Mr. Mayor. Our Lady Spartans, they actually won the division championship. It's the city champion, or excuse me,
CIF?
No, not CIF. They actually won the IVL championship. It's the first time in 20 years. My daughter's on the team. They won CIF last year, but they didn't win the IVL. This is the first year. This is the first time in 20 years that they won the IVL. So the Central Lady Spartans win the basketball championship. So I have a shirt for you.
Thank you very much.
Extra small for you.
Are they in the playoffs?
Well, they went up to the semifinals and they got beat by Carlsbad, but they were playing in Division II, so it's still quite a showing. Unfortunately, I was at a city council meeting, couldn't watch her play, but I am very happy for Central finally winning the IVL championship. Also had the opportunity, and I want to thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to go to the National League of Cities. It was quite an event, and I want to say something about our city manager who's not here today. He's a very intelligent man, and being able to charge the hill with Mr. Duran, and with staff putting together a package shows a lot about our city. Mm-hmm. When we were able to charge that hill and go over there and say, these are the projects we're working on, this is the money that we're needing, and we're able to give them a binder of everything that's taking place. It shares a lot about, or tells a lot about the character of our city and also the staff that we work with. And I'm just very grateful to have Mr. Duran, to be a part of that. There was another council member that kind of tagged along, but I want to defer to him for his comments. But it was an honor to represent our city in Washington, D.C. at the National League of Cities, along with Councilmember Jackson and our city manager, which I'm very grateful to have as our manager here in the city of El Centro.
Thank you, Mr. Cardenas. Ms. Walker?
Probably the only event I'd like to report on was El Centro was able to host the Aviation Technical Advisory Committee from all of Southern California, representing about 58 airports throughout the region, to talk about the regional transportation plan. They went to Mexicali. Well, actually, they went to the base, had a presentation by the base commander and others, went to Mexicali to tour some aviation-related facilities there, and then attended the air show on Saturday, and then went home exhausted on Sunday, but had lots of really great things to say. We will be having a Community Enhancement Task Force meeting tomorrow, Ms. Sanders and myself, and so you'll be seeing our minutes coming forward from that task force.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Walker. Mr. Jackson?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It was a busy last couple of weeks. Obviously, I went to the National League of Cities with Mr. Cardenas. Had a really good time with meeting a lot of different representatives from cities from all over the United States. Obviously, you can probably imagine that this was a topic. Our last couple of meetings was a topic. And it was nice to have a sounding board with other councils and get perspectives. And that's really what those type of events are for. League of Cities, whether it be a state level or national, it really gives us as council members the opportunity to talk to other cities and best practices and bounce ideas. And so that was a nice opportunity. The president came and addressed the general council of the League of Cities, and that was very nice. And he spoke very well. He actually introduced an initiative at the League of Cities and a technical component to a jobs program. So it was a very good conference. Came back, had the Energy Summit with IVEDC, and I know our mayor was there, and I don't know if anybody else attended, but another great program put on by IVEDC where really just promoting the valley, the renewable energy opportunities, the potential job creation and such. So that was a good opportunity to talk to a lot of those companies that were down here. I want to take a second and talk about something that happened while Mr. Cardenas and I were actually in DC. And we were actually in the airport when I read something on Facebook, and it was something that I can't imagine would be happening in our city. And that was an unfortunate situation where some puppies were found in a trash bag next to a dumpster at Rite Aid. And these puppies there's 3 puppies, 1 was dead, 2 of them were still alive, and unfortunately they had been mutilated by somebody. Tails cut off, legs cut off, but they were still alive. Unfortunately, they had to be euthanized by a local veterinarian. I can't imagine anybody wanting to do something like that in our community. So we have put together a reward, and you'll see it. We started posting on Facebook today, and it'll be out in the paper. And there's a kind of another coalition. The Valley's coming up with a lot of coalitions lately. But another coalition that really wants to try to help find the people responsible for this. And so far, we have raised over $1,000 to put forth for a reward. And there's a phone number there that will be posted. And actually, it's 337-4864. It goes to Detective Hernandez with El Centro Police Department. And that reward is for any information that leads to the arrest and conviction of the people responsible for that horrendous act that took place in our city. So if you have anybody that you can share that with or share this information with, this is something that we also don't want in our city, and we need to, unfortunately, I think this is something that it goes way beyond just the mutilation of an animal. This person probably needs some help, and we don't want to see something graduate to people. If you read a lot about serial killers, things like that, they start with animals and they graduate to people. And so somebody out there has got some issues, and we need to try to find that person and help that person. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Ms. Anders?
Yes,
Oh, I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Mayor.
One more thing.
Please.
On a better note, youth fishing derby this Saturday at Sunbeam Lake. All youth under 15, and Relay for Life for the American Cancer Society at Southwest this Saturday.
Thank you.
Friday and Saturday, yes.
Ms. Sanders?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to remind us, certainly this may be something that you would be speaking to as the president of the Imperial County Division League of Cities. They will be having its meeting on April the 9th, Thursday, April 9th at Westmoreland at the Town Pump. Also, our nice award, a business award for our Imagine Award will be, and dinner will be held on March 26th. The hospital will be joining with the chamber for the chamber mixer, and it'll be held at the Cancer Center on La Boucherie. So those events are forthcoming. We hope that maybe you'll be able to join us on any one of those. AAA is Area Agency on Aging, will be meeting on Thursday. And then, of course, Ms. Walker already announced that for the Community Enhancement Committee, we'll be meeting tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. And it was a very busy last couple of weeks as well. And I share with some people here that, given the dynamics of what's happening here and how difficult it is for all of us. And, nobody is taking pleasure of having to debate this issue, but, the significance of things that sometimes were routine have no longer become routine. Something as innocuous as the air show, and I was just moved by that and moved by the fact that we live in the greatest country in the world that allows people freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, opportunities that this country has given me that perhaps I wouldn't have if I had not immigrated to the United States. Our Pledge of Allegiance, church services had a very different significance to me. It was just different. It's been a very different last couple of weeks. So I did go to the air show. It was spectacular. And I've seen that show now, I don't know how many times, but again, it had a very special meaning for me. I gave a number of proclamations on behalf of the city. I gave a proclamation to Mr. Ortega, and right now I can't think of his first name, but he celebrated his 100th birthday in El Centro, and so the family invited me to attend their party at their home, and I was very honored to give Mr. Ortega a proclamation on behalf of the city and the designation of his birthday as a official day in the city of El Centro. And he was a little fragile, but nevertheless appreciated me being there. And I walk into this party and, oh my God, the mayor's here, and I'm saying, it's just me. It's just me, Efrain Silva, coming to join your party. So that was very rewarding. I also attended the Energy Summit. I also gave a proclamation to Ruben Raspados for their 15th anniversary in El Centro. That was very special. I did a welcome for our Congressman Vargas, who was here last week, and promoting the Obama initiative and immigration reform. Provided some very useful information to the people that were there. Met with our state controller, Betty Yee, who went to IVC and thanked the volunteers that they spend the day preparing taxes for our citizens. And you would think that someone, a state official, typically comes in, they shake hands, they say a thank you speech, and then they're gone. She didn't. She spent the whole day at IVC thanking every volunteer, every person that walked through the door, the people that were there to receive services. Wow. That was special, because you don't see that from state officers. Also, let's see, I'm looking at my notes here. I did attend a celebration in Mexicali for their 112th birthday. That was very special, and I have to say that the mayor of Mexicali gave me a very warm welcome. Mentioned as part of his speech that he was very happy to see me as the mayor of El Centro and have representation from El Centro at their celebration. So that was very special as well. And I think that's all I did last couple of weeks. Any further business from the council? Yes, we are adjourning this meeting to Monday. Monday.
11 a.m.
What day is that? That will be the
25th.
The 21st?
23rd.
The 23rd at 11 a.m. for a closed session discussion with the council. So thank you for that.
Diane needs a motion and a second.
Is there a motion to adjourn to
So
the
moved.
day as
Second.
Moved by Jackson, second by Walker, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you much.
Cool.
Listen, your thing is here. Your